From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, February 20th, 2015. Silver is trading at $16.51 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,213 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $244. Antiwar.com reports Pakistani and Afghan officials say they have been assured by the Taliban that they are ready to engage in peace talks with the Afghan government with an eye on ending over 13 years of war. Officials say the talks could start as soon as next month, but details have yet to be worked out. Both the U.S. and Taliban have denied that any current talks are ongoing. Pakistan has been leading the push for this new round of peace talks and has been using its military intelligence community's considerable influence to coax Taliban leadership to the negotiation table. Whether the talks are going to amount to anything is another matter, as previous efforts to get the negotiations going stalled pretty quickly over minor procedural matters. The new Afghan government is trying to present itself as much more willing to make a deal than its predecessors, however, and that is reason to be optimistic. For over 35 years, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports a U.S. judge on Thursday rejected BP's attempt to reduce the maximum civil fine it could face for its role in the 2010 Gulf of Mexico oil spill, leaving it potentially liable to pay $13.7 billion under the Federal Clean Water Act. U.S. District Judge Carl Barbier in New Orleans agreed with the federal government that the maximum civil penalty that BP could face is $4,300 per barrel spilled. BP had sought a $3,000 per barrel maximum, equal to a maximum $9.57 billion civil fine. Barbier has not decided how much BP should pay, and it is unclear when he will decide. Setting a fine is the last step in a civil trial overseen by Barbier to determine responsibility and penalties for the April 20th, 2010 blowout of the Mocondo oil well, which killed 11 workers and caused the largest U.S. offshore oil spill. BP spokesman Jeff Morrell said the company disagrees with the decision and is considering its legal options. Barbier previously ruled that BP had acted with gross negligence or willful misconduct and that 3.19 million barrels of oil were spilled. These factors are being used to set the maximum civil fine. BP has incurred more than $42 billion of cost for the spill, including cleanup, fines, and compensation to victims. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. That's shop.fppradio.com. UPI reports a recent U.S. Army War College study states dishonesty and deception among Army personnel is common. In the study called Lying to Ourselves, Dishonesty in the Army Profession, the War College's Strategic Study Institute interviewed Army personnel from all ranks and found that lies permeate throughout the military institution, whether by civilians or those in uniform. Officers sometimes face a suffocating amount of tasks. Often they use phrases to make it seem as if they've complied to all requirements demanded. The study said personnel do this to sugarcoat the hard reality that in the routine performance of their duties as leaders and commanders, U.S. Army officers often resort to evasion and deception. The most highlighted rationalization to partake in dishonesty is that it is often necessary to lie because the task asked of personnel or the reporting required of them is unreasonable, irritating, or, quote, dumb. One officer said, "We don't trust our compliance data." Part of the reason why lying is so prevalent is because there is a psychological disconnect between performing a dishonest act and facing the consequences for it. Former Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel sent a memo to the most senior leaders of the U.S. military last week suggesting that military, including senior officials, need to be accountable and have a higher ethical standard. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.